Ace Ventura, George Washington, and Facebook are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is February 4th, 2022. It is the 35th day of the year. We got 330 days left in this year. It's the 5th Friday in the 6th week and the 46th day of winter. You got 44 days left until spring. If today's your birthday, your birthstone hasn't changed. It's still an amethyst and you're an Aquarius. Today is National Hemp Day. On February 4th, National Hemp Day proudly weaves a celebration surrounding an industry with a long and innovative history. Did you know that hemp has been part of human civilization for thousands of years? The world's earliest civilizations used hemp as fiber to make fabric and cloth and clothing. Even American founding fathers drafted early documents on hemp paper. During the last century, leaders used a Hemp for Victory campaign during World War II to encourage farmers to grow hemp for military use. Since then, hemp has been an essential material in the innovation of several industries. Now, this is what's really weird about hemp. You know, it has some byproducts that kind of go along with weed, and I just broad brushed it, and I know some people are going to leave some comments, but people always associate the two. Hemp is a great product. It's actually a very good product, but the controversy started in the 1950s when different companies like DuPont and Dow Chemicals saw them as a competitor to different fabrics they made like nylon and polyester. So of course the conspiracy goes that these chemical companies went to the senators and congressmen they've been donating to and said, hey, we need to stop this. So they drafted all this legislation that kind of put it in the same category as cannabis, and the rest is history. It became a product that was really good, really functional, but it was a competitor to the chemical companies. But yeah, today's National Hemp Day. There is a ton that goes into that subject, but I'll leave it for another video. All right, let's see what else February 4th has given us. 1789, George Washington is unanimously elected as the first president of the United States by the U.S. Electoral College. 1901, John Marshall is sworn in as the Chief Justice of the United States. So John Marshall was on the Supreme Court back in 1801 to 1835, and to this day, he is considered one of the most influential Chief Justices ever. He was responsible for constructing and defending both the foundations of the judicial power and the principles of American federalism. 1825, the Ohio legislature authorizes the construction of the Ohio and Erie Canal and the Miami and Erie Canal. And this Miami is in Ohio, has nothing to do with Florida. 1846, the first Mormon pioneers make their exodus from Illinois westward to Salt Lake Valley. 1861, the American Civil War. In Montgomery, Alabama, delegates from 6 breakaway U.S. states meet and form the Confederate States of America. 1974, the Sudanese Liberation Army kidnaps Patty Hearst in Berkeley, California. For a few years back in the mid-70s, this was all over the news. You couldn't get away from it. Patty Hearst was from one of the richest families in the United States. Her family owned Hearst Publishing. The SLA was considered a terrorist organization by the FBI and most law enforcement organizations in the United States, and they continued to hunt and prosecute these people until 2003. A lot of things went on besides just the abduction of Patty Hearst, which a lot of people think she was either in on it the whole time or she eventually started to get that Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is an emotional response. It happens to some abuse or hostage victims when they start to feel bad or start to see things the way their abusers or captors do. And that was Patty Hearst's defense. She claimed she was brainwashed by these people and went along with a bank robbery, and she shot up a sporting goods store when the manager tried to stop her friends from shoplifting. But she became a member, whether it was brainwashing or whatever, she was involved, and she went to prison for it. She got 22 months, but Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence and she got out 8 months early. Now, what's really interesting about this whole thing, a lot of them went to jail and a lot of them got killed. They had a shootout with police and all kinds of good stuff. But what's really interesting is a few of the members were in hiding till the early 2000s. James Kilgore, who became an instructor or a professor at Cape Town University in Cape Town, South Africa, he was on the run till they captured him in 2002. Now, this is the most interesting one of all of them. Kathy Solia, that was her name back then, but she went into hiding after all this stuff went down in 1975. She moved to Minnesota, started a family, lived the American dream until America's Most Wanted profiled her on March 3rd, 1999, and then again on May 15th, 1999. A tip from that show led the FBI right to her front door, and they arrested her. She had different charges up against her, but originally she was sentenced to 14 years. They thought that was appropriate, but a judge threw that out because they didn't do things right. Her sentence was instead converted to 5 years and 4 months. They also let her out a year early by mistake. She was out having a good time for like a month or two, and they came arrested her again and said, yeah, you got to go back. We screwed up. And they took her back. Since then, she's gone on to live a normal life, including writing a book. That book is called Serving Time, America's Most Wanted Recipes. Not even joking. Her daughter also appeared on American Idol. 1977, a Chicago Transit Authority elevated train rear ends another and derails, killing 11 and injuring 180. This is the worst accident in the agency's history. 2004, Facebook, a mainstream online social network site, is founded by Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo Severin. Now, if you follow the story of Facebook, he kind of ripped off some guys. The idea about Facebook, or the beginnings of what would become Facebook, was brought to him because he was a programmer by two other guys that went to Harvard with him, two twins. And they had this great idea for kind of like a dating site thing, and they knew he could do it because he was a, kind of a known programmer at Harvard. Well, he kind of gave them what they were looking for, but then he took their idea and kind of built on it. At least that's their story. They eventually settled with them out of court, but that's kind of how I feel about it too. I don't know all the ins and outs of this story and this situation. I just watched the movie and read a couple things on it. I didn't follow the case like some Facebook fanboy, but it seems to me that's what happened, that he basically took their idea and made it way better. 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic causes all casinos in Macau, China, which is basically their Las Vegas, to shut down, and they pretty much closed down the whole city. Movies released on February 4th, 1994, Ace Ventura. Great movie. An insane animal detective goes in search of the Miami Dolphins' missing mascot. The role helped launch the career of Jim Carrey. It really did. Along with his performances in The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, I mean, he became a superstar right around that time. If you've never seen Ace Ventura, there's like 3 of them, I think. You gotta see them. They are hysterical. Born on February 4th, 1948, Alice Cooper. Everyone knows him, shock rock singer and performer who released hits like School's Out and 18. He gained fame for his album Billion Dollar Babies in 1973 and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011. Never been a big fan of Alice Cooper's music. Just wasn't my thing. I mean, he's a very interesting performer. It's just his music wasn't my thing. But he was born in Detroit, Michigan. Son of a preacher. Died on February 4th, 1987, Liberace. Entertainment's highest paid performer during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. He was known for his flamboyant, excessive showmanship. Okay, so casting no shade or talking bad about someone, but Liberace was obviously gay. My grandmother refused to believe that. She's, oh, the ladies love him. The ladies love him. He doesn't love them back. He was very flamboyantly gay, and that's fine. It's just, I could not believe my grandmother didn't understand that that's what was going on. We just all sat there and tried to tell her one day, no, he is obviously gay. And that woman would not accept that. That was just beyond her comprehension. But he started off playing in cabarets and strip clubs during the Great Depression. He honed his unique style of pop music infused with classical techniques in the 1940s. Sadly, Liberace died of pneumonia as a result of AIDS in the late mornings of February 4th, 1987 in Palm Springs, California. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.